trying to video the fish flies that are flying towards the lake. It's just a solid mass.
And the hum is crazy.
Hey everybody, Terry King here from Jafffa Adventures. Welcome to the program. What I thought I would do is a video series about traveling in and around southeast Queensland, but a little bit different than what you might normally see. There's a lot of videos out there on YouTube on the popular areas, you know, your Moreton Islands, your Fraser Islands, those types of things. But there's very little content out there about remote traveling and about sort of off-the-grid traveling. And what I mean by that are areas that are not very popular, areas that are not frequented by people, that you could get to within a day's drive out of Brisbane, that would provide you with a pretty unique camping and traveling experience, and also take you off the grid so that you don't bump into people. And if there are people in these camp areas, they're going to be reasonably minimal and reasonably remote. So join me in this video series, striking out from the Brisbane area and southeast corner of Queensland, and we'll have a look what we've got out there for some remote area traveling. So here's an overview of the route that we're going to take on this trip. And just to get your bearings, we've got Toowoomba located here, we've got Miles here, and we've got Roma here. So we leave Brisbane and continue west along the Warrego Highway until we get into Miles, and then we turn north on the Leichhardt Highway up to Taroom. At Taroom, we punch west onto a dirt road, which is a pretty good maintained road, all the way through to Injune. Turning north on the Capricorn Highway, and then punching into the Beelba section of Expedition National Park. Night one, we actually camped in Miles, and we had an absolutely amazing sunset as we were traveling west. The following morning, we then pushed into the Beelba section of Expedition National Park. The turnoff itself is located about 30-odd kilometers north of Injune, and it is signposted, so it's not that difficult to find. There are quite a few tracks branching off into a lot of the gas fields in the area, so as you're driving into that Beelba section, you just need to keep your wits about you and continue to head in an easterly direction. Now here's the tip. The actual campground is pretty ordinary, and my recommendation would be to drive past it. These tracks here are all quite overgrown, at least they were when we went through in 2019. So my recommendation would be push past all of this and drive down to the Dawson River. And we actually camped on the bed of the Dawson River. This section here is very steep. Not suitable for caravans and not suitable for trailers either. And this is that scrabbly track down to the Dawson River.
Thank you, creek bed.
We camped in the bed of the Dawson itself. Now it's very sandy, and when we were there were some small water patches here and there, but there were enough dry areas where you could get your car down onto the riverbed and set up a nice safe camp.
Walking along the Dawson River, the upper reaches of the Dawson. Obviously we couldn't drive down it because it's full of water. Just a stunning little spot though. Just climbed up the banks of the river here, and there's actually an old, looks like an old cattle track that somebody's cut in here. They've been used in a long, long time. No wheel ruts or anything, but definitely a vehicle track. Very light breeze coming through at the moment. You can hear it whistling through the trees. Heading back to camp now, and I think I'll try and throw the drone up. Take a cruise down the riverbed and see what we can see. I would have thought there would have been little fish in here, but some tadpoles, water striders, but no fish. The water's a little bit manky. You can see to the bottom, it's about 1.5 feet deep, but there's a lot of travel fish in here, you can smell it. Still doesn't detract from the beauty of the spot. To our camp up there around the corner a bit. This is as far as we drove up. I had the tires up at about 35 pounds. That's as far as we got, which is a good thing. So I just dropped them down to 18 or so and just backed out. That's the track we came in on. Quite tame down at this end, at the river end. But once you get up into the rocky stuff, definitely four-wheel drive country, and diff locks help a heck of a lot. The following morning, we broke camp on the banks of the Dawson River and continued back up through the Bilba section back to the main road. We then headed up north and then turned onto the Arcadia Valley Way and continued into this section of the park, which is called the Lonesome Section of Expedition National Park. Now our intention, and we did, was to drive down this four-wheel drive track and again camp on the banks of the Dawson. Unfortunately, we encountered a locked gate, so we had to backtrack all the way back up into the Lonesome Section itself and camp just off the Arcadia Valley Way on the bitumen. And it's certainly not a remote section, so that was a little bit disappointing.
we packed up camp from the Lonesome Section and headed north up the Arcadia Valley Way for about 70 kilometers to Nuga Nuga National Park. The drive itself is on very good dirt roads and a lot of bitumen sections as well, and is just a lovely drive. The park itself is only a couple of kilometers off of the main Arcadia Valley Way track, and there's a lot of campsites in and along the banks of Lake Nuga Nuga, and you can find a very, very pleasant campsite along there.
I don't know whether the GoPro can pick this up, but the bugs buzzing, they're a June fly or June bug or fish fly, whatever you want to call them.
Mine's in the tent.
Thousands and thousands, millions, billions of fish flies flying towards the lake.
Let me get my phone.
They don't bug you, they don't land on you. They're all heading towards the lake by the thousands. It's pretty cool.
This morning we reluctantly broke camp from Nuga Nuga National Park and drove the 270 odd kilometers to the small town of Cracow.
The camp itself is located about 18 kilometers outside of Cracow and is called Cracow Beach. It's located on the junctions of the Delusion Creek and the Dawson River, and it's a free camp. It's an absolutely wonderful spot located directly underneath some Livistonia palms. Let's close this episode with a quick look at the town of Cracow. Now, this town is an absolutely fascinating place. It's an old gold mining town where the gold mine shut down in 1975 and the town was basically abandoned. The gold mine since opened back up in 2004, but the abandoned part of the town still remains, and it's like stepping back in time when you walk through the streets. As a little bit of pub trivia, a movie was recently shot in Cracow called Two Heads Creek. It's a movie about an English brother and sister that travel to find their mother in the small town of Cracow and encounter a town full of cannibals. Once again, just perpetuating the sort of creepiness of the town, which is really unique and quite cool. Well, that concludes this episode on destinations which are in a day's drive or striking distance from the southeast corner of Queensland. If you like what you see, just hit two buttons, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button, and that'll encourage myself and our other Jafffa travelers to continue to provide you guys with this free content. Keep the shiny side up, everybody, and thanks for watching. Cheers.